time, Vince Priorello. He's the general manager of operations for Clean Freak Car Wash, has been here since day one, and together we wrote the book on how to load a car. So I'll hand it over to Vince. He'll say a couple words, and then we'll get to it.
How you doing, guys? Before we get started, make sure that your manager is sitting next to you watching this video with you. If they are not, pause the video and call this number here. Alright? So about 3.5 years ago, before Clean Freak wasn't even open, Mark, Craig, and I went down to Colorado to visit a fellow car wash owner. And our main objective was to learn how to load vehicles. So we spent 3 days there learning how to load a car. And we find it very important at Clean Freak to load a car a certain way because, number one, we're looking for consistency at all 6 of our locations. And then we're also looking for great experience for all the customers that are coming through.
Yep. And so the key word there that Vince said was consistency. How do we load 100,000 cars a month the same way? And that's what we're going to teach you today. There's a lot of variations and that we've seen over the years, and we don't want to be that other car wash. We want to be Clean Freak. And so we have certain guidelines and certain procedures that we do. We'll take it into the tunnel and start learning how to load cars.
Hey, how you doing? So you got Vince and I here again. We're going to take you into the tunnel now. We're here in the comfort of an office, and we're going to be watching the video with you. And that way you'll get to see an audio of what we're talking about, and Vince and I will be here discussing what you're seeing in the video so that it will make more sense to you. We're going to start off with safety, and Vince is going to start talking about that.
So your first priority when you're in the tunnel is safety. So that's going to be the safety of the vehicles coming through. Some sites have upwards of 1,000 cars coming a day. Very important that we take care of all those vehicles. Safety of the equipment. Tunnels can be loaded with upwards of $500,000 worth of equipment, so it's very important that we take care of that. And the most important of all, safety of yourself and your team members around you. We do not want any incidences where we have to call your loved ones and tell them that you hurt yourself real bad or worse than that because you weren't following safety protocol inside the tunnel.
Everything we do is based around safety. It's the reason we have our policies in place. And so it really comes down to managing the tunnel well. And we're going to tell you how to do that in the video. But really the number one thing is if you're in the tunnel and it's your shift in the tunnel, don't ever leave the tunnel. It's your responsibility and you need to be there at all times if there's a car in there. Couple of things that we're going to talk about more in the safety video is stepping on the track. We never want to step on the track. We want to step over it. We never want to go in front of vehicles. We always want to approach the vehicle from behind. And if you're ever in a situation that isn't going right, we always have the e-stop button. And you can run there and push that. That stops everything. It gives you then the ability to take care of the situation. But anyway, this is the loading video. So really what we're going to do is get in. Vince is going to start with some techniques on the loading. And over the next couple minutes, you're going to be seeing loading. And we're going to do a little commentary on that. Vince, take it away for now.
Sure. So first thing you can notice in the video, I'm making eye contact with the customer. We always want to make sure we're looking at our customers, make sure they're looking at us. The movements we're using big hand movements. They're very understandable. It's like loading a jumbo jet into the conveyor here. So
yeah, as I cut in really quickly, Vince and I and my brother Craig took a trip into Colorado, and we took about 3 days to learn how to load vehicles. Nothing but to learn how to load vehicles. And we got this training from a gentleman who's had an express car wash for a couple of years. And we have found that it really keeps us a professional-looking image. And it's safety in our eyes and in our customers' eyes. They know what to come to expect when they come to Clean Freak. And so these hand movements that we have, although they may seem awkward when you first learn them, it really does prevent any incidences that we might have in the tunnel. Yeah, we just want to continue eye contact. We use big hand movements when we want to stop the vehicle. And then after the vehicle is stopped, we're going to direct them to the instructional signage. And those 3 things say car in neutral, foot off the brake, and hands off the steering wheel. Vince, tell them how you want them to...
We always want to make sure that we're physically touching the sign with our hand. We're not 2 feet away from the sign, pointing at the sign. The customer might not know what we're pointing at. I want to point to the N in neutral. I want to point to the brake and foot off brake. And I want to point to the steering wheel and hand off steering wheel. That lets the customer know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and then last movement would be thumbs up. That's confirming to the customer, hey, you got it? and they're going to give you a nod yes, or they're going to smile at you, or they're going to give you a thumbs up. They'll do a million different things, but that's kind of our Clean Freak signature before we send off every car, and so we always do 2 thumbs up to every vehicle. You just notice Vince looked back there. Even when we're loading cars, you may want to give a quick look back. You never know when something can happen in the middle of the tunnel, where somebody might inadvertently put their foot on the brake, put their car in park. A million things can happen behind you. So as you're loading cars, you're always aware. That's really the key word, I think, is being aware of what's going on behind you and in front of you. I got one more car here. We've got a couple more cars. The more you see this happen, the more you'll understand how we load cars. And really, Vince pretty much wrote the book on this. He does a great job at it. And
I've done it a couple times.
Yeah, we've done it thousands of times when we opened this site here at 44th. And so it's all about consistency. We want to be able to load 100,000 cars a month, all with the same movements here. This is another Clean Freak representative. You see he points to each sign and thumbs up. And we'll watch him load a couple more cars here.
Notice how he's using the big hand movements. 2 hands to load. We're not load with 1 hand. We want him to stop. 2 hands up in the air, palms facing out. Do a fist stop. Everything's very clear for the customer to understand.
At that point, after the car has been given the 2 thumbs up, at that point we can give them their detail towel if they request one, and if they have a air freshener receipt, at that time we can give them their air freshener. All right, here you can see load them close. Man, how do we load 100,000 cars a month between our sites? It's because we load them close. And so what I hear time and time again is, when I'm visiting the sites, and I don't see it happening, is the customer service representatives are a little worried about loading the cars close. They think that they're going to bump in the tunnel, and really our tunnel is managed in a way that the equipment itself will not allow cars to bump into each other. And so really you can load them as close as you can, and the cars will not be able to touch bumpers. And so here in this video you're going to see 3 or 4 cars being loaded, and this is how we expect every car to be loaded, whether there's 10 cars in line waiting to be loaded or just 2 cars in line waiting to be loaded. We load them close, and just as you give the towel to one, we're on to the next. And so we focus on that next car, and you'll see how close we can get to the bumper here.
As long as you're loading properly, and as long as the vehicle has 2 rollers behind the rear tire, you have no worries. Don't worry about loading them too close. We'll worry about the cars if they bump. You just worry about stacking those cars in that tunnel.
Yes, and we find that when the cars are close to each other, each customer and the individual cars seem to pay a little bit more attention when they're closer to the rear end of a vehicle. And so it really keeps everybody kind of aware, which is really the word we want to get across. You'll see here these 2 car bumpers, they're within a couple of feet apart. But after we stop that vehicle, it takes about 2 or 3 second delay for the roller to come up and hit that car, which gives the car in front of it more time to move forward.
There's about, I believe there's about a 6-foot gap in between each car when everything's said and done.
Rollers, we're going to want to make sure that there are always 2 rollers that pop up behind the wheel of a car. We never want to have the front wheel being pushed by a roller. We always want the rollers to come behind the car, which is all done automatically. Sometimes you'll find that only 1 roller is kicked up, and at that time you can manually kick up a roller. You see right here 1 roller's been kicked up.
So that's the primary roller. That's the roller that's going to push the vehicle. And then we always want to make sure there's a second roller, and I call that the safety roller. In case that car hits their brake, there's going to be another roller that's going to catch it and continue to push it. And then also it gives the vehicle behind him a safety roller, so that vehicle doesn't bump the other vehicle.
Yeah, we're going to move on here. Sometimes when you load a car, you're going to find that the person doesn't get their car into neutral quick enough, and so a roller is going to come behind their back wheel, and they're not going to have their car in neutral, and you'll find that the roller will come under the wheel. At that point, you want to approach the car, put your stop hands out, and have the customer roll it down their window. At that time, you want them to instruct the customer to put their car in park and have their foot on the brake, and let the two rollers that were popped up automatically pass through. And then what you want to do is manually lift two rollers to get the car on its way again. Before you put the two rollers up, obviously you want to ensure that the car is in neutral and that the customer has their foot off the brake so that they don't pop more rollers.
You know, always take your time with the customer. We never want to rush a customer and make them feel stupid. You know, pretend that's your grandma sitting in that seat there. Take your time, be courteous, be calm.
When in doubt, clean out. We're talking about truck beds. Very important. We've seen over the years our customer service representatives not clean the truck beds out. Really, the rule is the only reason you wouldn't want something lifted out of that bed is if you can't lift it yourself. Otherwise, we want all strings, ropes, gas cans, anything that can fly out of the bed of a truck.
You name it.
You name it. And the reason for that is because we don't want that hitting the vehicle behind them, or we don't want that getting in the conveyor, caught in the conveyor, which causes a lot of damage. And this is all regarding safety.
The cashier, they're the first line of defense. They're going to check that truck bed, hopefully. But you're the last line of defense. The loader is the last line of defense. So the loader has to check each and every bed to make sure nothing's in there. And then once again, when in doubt, if you're not sure about something, take it out.
Yeah, the eyes. The eyes are called the photo eyes. It's what reads your car. Once a car hits the photo eyes, it starts to wash. You're going to find inadvertently some people want to come racing into the tunnel and they go into the photo eyes. As a representative, you want them to back up slowly out of the photo eyes, and then put the car in neutral and let the car flow back into the photo eyes. That way the car is read the right way. Here we're going to roll back the footage, and so you can see that again. A car comes in really quick. You'll see the photo eyes there. We don't want the cars to drive into the photo eyes because it'll read the car wrong.
Correct. As soon as that car hits the photo eyes, it starts measuring the length of the vehicle, and that's what tells the brushes when to come in, when to go out, when to come up, when to go down. So if we leave the vehicle in the eyes, it's going to think the car is too long, or it's going to think it's longer than it is, and that's when we can start ripping off mirrors and causing damage to vehicles.
Yeah, because the equipment is timed. Okay, so hey, that concludes our video on loading. This really covers all of the main topics. You're going to be learning a lot when you're in the field, actually doing it. Your managers will point out any small things that they see that you're doing. Really, the main points, just to recap, I'll start with when you're loading a car, eye contact. That's probably a very important thing. It ensures that the customer sees you and you see the customer, and it starts things off on the right foot.
Next thing would be make sure you're loading with clear hand movements. Make sure you're using both hands to load. If you want the customer to go right, it's two big hands right, left, two big hands left, stop, two big hands palms faced out.
Then we want to physically touch the instructional sign. Those 3 points. We don't want you to make an air movement, a ghost movement towards it. We actually want you to physically touch it.
And awareness. Awareness is huge. We need to always be aware of the car that we just loaded in the tunnel, the cars that are already down the tunnel, and then the cars approaching the tunnel.
Yeah, huge point. A lot of times people miss cars that are what's happening behind them, and that's a big one. You want to be as aware of the cars behind you in the tunnel as the ones that are in front of you. We want to load close. Remember we talked in the video, you can't load the cars too close. So as close as you can load the cars in a nice, safe manner, as close as we'd like you to load them.
When in doubt, clean out. And I'm referring to truck beds. When there's anything in the back of the truck bed, unless you're physically not capable of lifting that object out of the bed, it must come out. And that's for the safety of the customers that are in the tunnel, behind the vehicle, and then also for the safety of our equipment as well. A strap may be loose, can get caught in the conveyor like we talked about, cause lots of damage and downtime, which we do not want.
Yeah. A big one: have patience with our customers. Understand that on a daily average, there's hundreds of people that are trying Clean Freak out for the first time. They may not know what's going on. So have an attitude of just patience with the customers. They're going to make mistakes, and you act as though it's no big deal. Show a smile, tell them it's no big deal, and that's really going to come from an attitude of serving our customer, which is really what we're all about. Remember, we talked about in some of the videos that we are actually in the people business. We just happen to wash cars, so that all comes down to serving the customer. When you serve the customer, you're going to give an experience like they haven't had at a car wash before, and that's really what's going to allow Clean Freak to continue to build new locations, is when we serve our customer. That's really it for the loading video. Thanks for listening. We'll see you out in the field. Take care.
Bye.